You sit in a modern coffee shop at rainy dusk, the window darkening behind your reflection, and the proof is on your screen: your partner stole the company's IP. The first sentence your mind offers is not careful. It is not examined. It says, "This should not be happening," and then it tries to make rage look like intelligence. The glass of iced water is beside your hand. The ice shifts once and clinks against the glass. Your hand does not tremble. That matters. The event has happened. The theft is real. But the meaning rushing in behind it is not yet law. Epictetus would not ask you to pretend this is small. He would ask a harder question: which part of this has authority over your character? The partner's act is outside your command. The past is outside your command. The reputation damage, the timing, the weather, the story others may tell, none of these belong to your ruling faculty. But your assent does. Your next word does. Your intention does. Do not obey the scene. Meet the fact cleanly, before anger writes your conduct. The boundary begins where the fact ends and the mind begins adding ownership to what it cannot own. The fact is plain: a partner stole the company's IP. That is not a small inconvenience. It may affect money, trust, contracts, employees, investors, deadlines, customers, and the name you have spent years attaching to your work. A Stoic correction does not require you to make the fact harmless. It requires you to stop giving the fact more authority than it has. The theft belongs to the external field. It happened. It is now part of the past. The partner's motives are not yours to govern. Whether he feels guilt is not yours. Whether he admits it quickly is not yours. Whether other people understand the whole situation before they form opinions is not yours. Whether the rain keeps falling outside the coffee shop window is not yours. Whether your reputation takes a hit before the truth catches up is not fully yours. You may influence these things. You may respond to them. You may take lawful, professional, disciplined steps. But influence is not ownership. This is where rage tries to cheat. Rage says, if I feel strongly enough, then this must be mine to command. It treats intensity as jurisdiction. It wants the stolen code, the partner's betrayal, the possible public embarrassment, and the timing of justice to all become extensions of your will. But they are not extensions of your will. They are conditions placed in front of it. The glass of iced water is still beside your hand. The ice shifts again, a small clink under the noise of the espresso machine and the tires dragging rainwater along the street outside. That sound is not solving the breach. It is not restoring the file. It is not making the partner honest. It is doing something smaller and more severe. It is proving that your attention can still be placed. Not everywhere. Not on every outcome. Here. On this glass. On this breath. On the next clean act. The question is not, how do I make this not have happened? That question is rebellion against reality. It wastes the first strength you still possess. The question is, now that this has happened, what belongs to me? Your judgment belongs to you. You can judge the act as wrong without judging that your worth has been destroyed. You can judge the breach as serious without judging that revenge is now wisdom. You can judge the partner as untrustworthy in this matter without turning yourself into a man ruled by the very betrayal he committed. Your intention belongs to you. Before you write the email, before you send the text, before you call the investor or the attorney or the team member who will hear the tension in your voice, you can decide what standard will govern the action. The intention can be protection, not humiliation. Clarity, not spectacle. Justice, not revenge. Repair, not theatrical anger. These distinctions are not soft. They are what keep a serious man from becoming a servant of the scene. Your attention belongs to you. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but enough to practice. You do not have to keep replaying the discovery as if repetition were investigation. You do not have to rehearse arguments in your head as if imagined victory were useful work. You do not have to feed the shadow that says anger must decide quickly or you will look weak. Attention can be returned to the next document to preserve, the next person to notify, the next boundary to set, the next sentence to say without poison. Your next response belongs to you. Not the whole outcome. Not the court of public opinion. Not the partner's reaction. Just the next response. That may mean securing records. It may mean speaking to counsel. It may mean not confronting him in the coffee shop while your first impression is still pretending to be command. It may mean telling the truth to the right people in the right order, without adding insult to make the truth feel stronger. Truth does not need rage to become true. The stolen IP is an event. The conclusion I have been made powerless is a judgment. The conclusion I must strike back immediately or I am nothing is a judgment. The conclusion my anger has authority because the betrayal is real is also a judgment. Epictetus would put the knife there, cleanly, between what happened and what you are adding to it. The boundary of control is not a wall that makes you passive. It is the line that makes action possible. Without that line, you try to govern everything at once, and because you cannot, you become frantic. With that line, the field becomes smaller, but your authority becomes real. You do not govern the betrayal. You govern whether betrayal also takes command of your judgment. That is the place to begin, not with the betrayal alone, but with the second betrayal that can happen inside you if you let the first impression seize the chair of command. The event is outside you now. The discovery has already entered the room. The screen has shown what it has shown. The partner's act is no longer waiting for your permission to be real. But the mind does something fast in the first seconds after impact. It does not merely receive the event. It interprets it, enlarges it, personalizes it, and then demands that you obey the interpretation as if it were the event itself. This is the sequence Epictetus wants you to catch. First, there is the impression. The impression says, this is urgent, personal, and threatening. It arrives with force because the facts are serious. Your company's work may be exposed. Your name may be dragged into rooms where you are not present. Employees may ask questions. Investors may want answers. The partner you trusted may now become the person you must oppose. And there, in the modern coffee shop at rainy dusk, with a glass of iced water near your hand and the ice clinking without a tremor, the impression presents itself as command. But an impression is not yet truth. It is an appearance. It is the first form in which the event strikes the mind. The mistake is not that the impression appears. It will appear. You are not made of stone. You built something. You trusted someone. You found theft where there should have been duty. The mistake is treating the first appearance as if it has already been examined and found worthy to rule. Then comes judgment. Judgment is the meaning your mind attaches to the impression. This is where the danger sharpens. The judgment says, because this happened, my worth is under attack. Because this happened, my safety depends on immediate retaliation. Because this happened, rage is not only understandable, but authoritative. Because this happened, if I do not answer with force right now, I am weak, exposed, diminished. That is the false sentence. The theft is real. The wrong is real. The need for action may be real. But the judgment that anger now has authority over your ruling faculty is not real until you give it assent. It is a proposal. It knocks loudly. It wears the clothes of justice. It may even use the language of responsibility. But underneath, it is asking for permission to turn your conduct over to the very disorder you condemn. This is why the clink of ice matters. It interrupts the false speed. It does not solve the external problem, but it gives your attention one clean object. The glass is not angry. The water is not telling a story. The ice moves, strikes the glass, and stops. That small sound can become a test. Can you observe one thing without instantly converting it into a weapon, a speech, a threat, a fantasy of revenge? If you can, then the ruling faculty has not been captured. After judgment comes assent. Assent is the inner yes. It is the moment you agree with the judgment and let it move your body, your voice, your timing, your next sentence. It is not always dramatic. It may look like unlocking the phone too quickly. It may look like typing a message you know is meant to injure, not clarify. It may look like standing up from the table before you have decided whether standing serves the work or only feeds the rage. It may look like calling someone, not to handle the breach, but to recruit outrage as a witness. Assent can happen before speech. It can happen before movement. It can happen as a small private surrender. He deserves whatever I do next. That is the trap. The partner's act did not force that sentence into your character. The breach did not force you to make revenge your advisor. The stolen IP did not command your thumb to send the message. Between impression and action, there is judgment. Between judgment and action, there is assent. That space may be narrow under pressure, but it is still the place where your freedom lives. So you pause. Not because the situation is mild. Because it is serious enough to require a governed mind. You name the impression. The appearance is that this betrayal has power over my worth and must be answered immediately. You name the judgment. My mind is treating anger as proof of authority. You test it. Does rage know what must be preserved? Does revenge know the order of action? Does humiliation repair a company, protect a team, or clarify the truth? Then you refuse false assent. You do not refuse action. You refuse unexamined action. You do not refuse consequence. You refuse to let consequence be chosen by the most inflamed part of the mind. The next action may still be firm. It may still be severe. It may still involve records, counsel, documentation, restricted access, direct speech, and hard boundaries. But now the action comes from judgment examined, not judgment hijacked. That is the difference between response and obedience. The scene demands obedience. The Stoic demands examination. You let the ice clink again. You keep the hand steady. You let the event be an event, the impression be an impression, the judgment be inspected, and assent be withheld until the next act can bear your name without shame. To make the next act bear your name without shame, you need practice inside the exact scene, not later, not in some calm hour when nothing is being demanded from you. Ascesis is not a speech you give yourself. It is discipline under contact. It is the training of the ruling faculty while the coffee shop is still loud, while the rain is still dragging dusk down the windows, while the proof of theft is still on the screen, while the desire for revenge is still trying to call itself justice. Begin with the smallest governable act, do not move too quickly. Your body will want to perform certainty before your judgment has earned it. The hand may reach for the phone. The mouth may prepare the first sentence. The shoulders may rise as if conflict itself has appointed you to act immediately. Stop there. Let the body remain seated. Feel the chair under you. Let the glass of iced water stay where it is. Do not turn stillness into weakness. Stillness, at this moment, is the refusal to let the scene spend your character for you. Second, name the impression without obeying it. Say inwardly, with no drama, an impression has appeared. Not the truth has arrived. Not rage has spoken. An impression has appeared. It says the theft is urgent, personal, and threatening. It says the partner's betrayal has reached into your worth. It says revenge will restore balance. But naming it puts it at a distance. What can be named can be examined. What is examined does not rule automatically. Third, separate the event from the command. The event is, the company's IP was stolen by a partner. The command is, strike back now, speak before thinking, make him feel the damage, answer injury with injury. These are not the same thing. One is a fact. The other is a proposal. The Stoic does not deny the fact. He denies the proposal the right to govern before it has passed judgment. Fourth, return to the anchor. Look at the glass of iced water. Do not make it symbolic in some inflated way. Use it as proof that attention can be placed. Ice. Glass. Water. Condensation on the side. A small clink when the cubes shift. The hand near it, steady enough to wait. This is not escape from responsibility. This is the first repair of command. If your attention can return to one ordinary object in the middle of betrayal, then the betrayal has not conquered the whole field. Fifth, shrink the next action. The shadow wants a large action because rage likes scale. It wants the dramatic confrontation, the perfect accusation, the public defeat, the sentence that will be remembered. Shrink it. What is the next correct, governable action? Not the whole legal outcome. Not the whole reputation battle. Not the whole future of the company. One action. Preserve the evidence. Take screenshots or secure logs according to proper process. Stop further access through the right channel. Write down the facts without adjectives. Contact the right professional person. Decide who must be told now and who must not be pulled into the storm. Sixth, clean the language before it leaves you. A sentence can be true and still be poisoned by the need to punish. A message can contain facts and still be written as revenge wearing a suit. Before you send anything, ask, is this sentence meant to clarify, protect, and proceed, or is it meant to injure? If the sentence needs insult to feel strong, it is not yet disciplined. If the truth becomes weaker when you remove the contempt, then it was not truth you were relying on. Seventh, choose the order of duty. You are not only an offended founder. You are also responsible for the people and work connected to the company. That does not mean carrying every outcome as if you controlled it. It means your conduct must be fit for the role you occupy. Protect the company. Protect the record. Protect the team from unnecessary panic. Protect your own judgment from becoming theatrical. Duty gives rage a smaller room. It says, you may be present, but you may not preside. Eighth, rehearse the boundary again. Yours, judgment, assent, intention, attention, next response. Not yours, the partner's mind, the past act, the weather, the speed of consequences, the first rumor, the investor's first reaction, the fact that the betrayal arrived at dusk instead of on a convenient morning. Say it until the boundary becomes usable. Not poetic. Usable. This is ascesis inside the scenario: pause, name, separate, anchor, shrink, clean, order, repeat. The coffee shop does not need to become quiet for you to become governed. The rain does not need to stop. The partner does not need to confess. The external field may remain ugly, costly, and unfinished. Practice does not wait for the scene to improve. It begins while the scene is still pressing. You train there, with the glass beside your hand, because the first victory is not over it. It is over the false necessity to obey what happened. The first victory is over the false necessity to obey what happened. The next test is whether your conduct can remain worthy while the external field remains unfinished. This is where responsibility is often misunderstood. Responsibility does not mean you personally command every consequence after the betrayal. It does not mean you control whether the partner denies it, whether the evidence is received quickly, whether the team stays calm, whether investors trust the explanation, or whether the story reaches people before you are ready. Those are conditions. They matter, but they are not seated inside your ruling faculty. Responsibility means the part that does belong to you must not be abandoned. You are still the founder. That role is not a costume you wear when things are clean. It is tested precisely when things are ugly, inconvenient, and unfair. The company may have been injured by another person's act, but it can be injured again by your undisciplined response. A reckless sentence can widen the damage. A public accusation made in rage can cloud the truth. A private threat can turn clarity into spectacle. A delayed response, caused by staring at revenge instead of duty, can leave people and records exposed. The wrong done to you does not cancel the standard required of you. Look again at the glass of iced water. It has not changed the facts. It has only kept returning you to one demand: place attention where it can serve. The ice clinks, the hand remains steady, the rain presses against the window, the screen still holds the proof. Nothing about that scene requires you to become theatrical. Nothing about it requires you to speak in a way you would later have to explain away. The situation may demand firmness. It does not demand corruption of your judgment. Your duty now is ordered conduct. First, protect what must be protected without pretending revenge is protection. This may mean preserving records, limiting access, documenting the sequence, informing the right people, and refusing to let the breach spread through confusion. These are serious acts. They do not need anger to become serious. In fact, anger often makes them less precise. It rushes the order. It enlarges the audience. It confuses punishment with repair. Second, speak only from what can bear examination. A founder under pressure will be tempted to add heat to the truth because heat feels like strength. But truth does not need decoration. Say what is known. Say what is not yet known. Say what action is being taken. Say what boundary is now in place. Do not add contempt to make yourself feel less exposed. Contempt may satisfy the shadow for a few minutes, but it does not strengthen the company, the record, or your character. Third, remember the people attached to your role. Employees do not need your performance of outrage. They need steadiness. Customers do not need your private wound translated into public drama. They need competent action. Advisors do not need a speech written by injury. They need facts, sequence, and intention. Even when no one says this aloud, they are watching whether the person responsible for the work can remain responsible when betrayed by someone close to it. This is not about looking calm. Looking calm can become another vanity. It is about being governed. A man can speak quietly and still be ruled by revenge. A man can use polite language and still be trying to humiliate. Epictetus would not be impressed by the surface. He would ask what gave the order inside you. Was it judgment examined? Or was it rage wearing discipline's clothes? That question should follow every action from the coffee shop to the next meeting, from the next meeting to the email thread, from the email thread to the hard conversation that may come later. Conduct is not one grand heroic choice. It is a series of small permissions granted or refused. Permission to exaggerate. Permission to insult. Permission to delay the necessary call. Permission to recruit allies for emotional victory instead of practical clarity. Permission to confuse being wounded with being right in every next move. Refuse those permissions. Accept the fact, then act from duty. The partner's betrayal is not yours to undo in the past. Your response is yours to govern in the present. The company's future is not entirely yours to command. Your intention toward the company is yours. Public judgment is not yours to control. The standard of your speech is yours. The partner's conscience is not yours. Your fairness, firmness, restraint, and timing are yours. A responsible response may still be severe. Stoicism is not softness toward wrongdoing. It is severity without slavery to passion. It can set a boundary. It can pursue remedy. It can remove access. It can end a partnership. It can tell the truth in rooms where truth carries consequences. But it must not surrender the ruling faculty to the very disorder it is correcting. So remain seated until the next act is clean enough to stand behind. Let the ice clink. Let the rain continue. Let the fact remain a fact. Then choose conduct that protects the work without selling your judgment to the injury. That is responsibility under betrayal, not owning the outcome, but refusing to abandon the part that is yours. Freedom begins when betrayal no longer dictates the form of your soul. The partner may have stolen the company's IP. He may have broken trust, created cost, exposed the work, and forced you into actions you did not choose this morning. None of that is imaginary. None of it should be softened into a pleasant lesson. But the final question is not whether the event was unjust. It was. The final question is whether injustice will now be allowed to govern the one place still assigned to you. Epictetus would bring you back to the chair, the rainy dusk, the screen, and the glass of iced water. He would not ask you to admire betrayal. He would ask whether you can face it without handing your assent to rage. Freedom is not getting the outcome you wanted. Freedom is seeing the outcome you did not want and still choosing the next act by judgment, not compulsion. It is the power to say, "This happened," but it does not get to decide what kind of man answers it. So act. Preserve what must be preserved. Speak where duty requires speech. Set boundaries. Let consequences move through the proper channels. But do not confuse revenge with strength. Do not confuse speed with command. Do not confuse the heat of anger with the authority of reason. Let the ice clink once more. Let the hand remain steady. Let the fact be fact, and let your choice remain yours. Return to what is yours to govern.